Trading Nut, episode 35.
I might be sounding a little overconfident, but I think I'm good now. Like I think I'm gonna start actually growing my account. And I think
the market's gonna do something. Your job is not to fight it.
The market never ever runs away. It's always there.
That personal diary of trading will make you a much better trader than...
I could be right about the direction, but wrong about the trade.
Don't focus on the monetary side.
Trying to make too much money on a trade is what I have seen killed every trader.
Your losses offer you some of the greatest insight you can find into your mistakes.
Relax, learn the process.
Candlestick pattern trading is a freaking trap.
Don't be in a rush to become a millionaire.
Let the market tell you what the market wants to tell you.
This podcast is not financial, trading, or investing advice of any kind. What's up, traders? Welcome to another installment of the TradingNut podcast. Now, today I've got a past guest on the show again. Now, this guy is our Forex trader who we've been tracking across the course of this year. Now, his name's Eli Camacho, and the last episode we did with him, he was trading $10 accounts, and he was blowing a lot of those. So we're actually going to catch up with him in this episode and find out how he's been getting on with his trading mentor, Andre Stewart, and see how things have progressed. So there's a great interview coming up with Eli. It's actually really value packed. So we did a video as well at the end of it, so you can jump onto the YouTube channel and check out the video as well, where you can sort of see how Eli does some of his chart analysis. So guys, really fun-filled stuff coming up in today's episode. Now, what else is going on? So if you are if you're a past member of the Robot Traders Club or a gold member, then you're going to want to check it out again. So I've made some significant changes to it, So I'll tell you all about it in a future episode, but look, there are a lot of changes. It's taken me a while to iron out the bugs, but the bugs have been ironed out, and at the moment we're in the middle of building a weekend gap trading EA. So if you haven't got an automated strategy that trades the weekend gaps, then this could be for you. So if you jump on board now, it's only $7 to get in the door and give it a try. So over there at TradingNut.com, you'll find out more information about all the changes that have gone on here at the Robot Traders Club. And also, I'm so close, once again, I'm still not quite there, but so close to relaunching the new version of what I called Automate My Trading back in the day. It's a way to build your own trading robots. So that course is about to be relaunched on TradingNut under the TradingNut brand, and it's called the Robot Builders Club. Okay, guys, so a couple of things you might want to check out. Some fantastic episodes coming up in the near future. We've got one for futures traders, we've got one for Forex traders, and I've got one for options traders as well, all coming up in the future episodes of the show. And look, I got a lot of good feedback about the session I did last week with Richard Friesen, where he diagnosed my trading issues, and we basically went through a full session. So if you haven't checked that out, I keep getting comments through from listeners of the show. So the best one is probably from Timothy Moore, who sent me an email. So Timothy, thank you very much for the email you sent me. Here's what he said. Cam, I listened to your last podcast with Richard Friesen. It was absolutely amazing. Loved it. Just want to say thanks for all the work you do with your podcast. I've gained some really good insight through all these different traders. So, guys, thank you very much, Timothy, for flicking that through. Really appreciate the feedback. Guys, if you have got other feedback like that, then please head over to your podcast listening app and leave a review there. It really does help get other traders on the show so that you guys can find out a lot about what they do. And yeah, head over to the YouTube channel if you want to find out more or want to get a visual view of what these audio interviews are all about. All right, folks, let's get on with the show with Eli and see how he has got on over the past 3 or 4 months. All right, let's do it. All right, folks, we've got Eli Camacho back on the show here. How long's it been, Eli? Can you remember the date that we spoke last?
It's been a few months. I don't know the date exactly, but yeah, it's been a few months.
No, I'm just having a look here. So we put that show live on the 24th of January. So I suspect we probably had a chat before that. Maybe I'm saying it was probably a week or two before that. So we're now recording this on the 6th of May the same year. So we're now sort of almost 5 months on from there, which is a good little sort of time to dive in. It's not quite 6 months to get a snapshot of where you're at now. So the guys that haven't heard the show before, you want to head back to episode 19 of the TradingNut podcast, and you're going to hear Eli's backstory, how he got into trading the Forex markets, and what he was doing. And I mean, we've probably touched on it a little bit here, but maybe not in so much detail. But I mean, for the guys that are going to be too lazy to go back and check, do you want to quickly go through and give a rundown of what you were doing back in January of this year?
Yeah, like trading wise, like what?
Yeah, trading wise, and even personally, and then we'll fast forward 5 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Back then I was just working a regular 9-to-5 job, cleaning windows, and my brother actually told me about trading because someone else introduced it to him, one of his friends. So I got into it, started doing it with another company, and then I kind of left them, started doing my own thing. I basically found information on YouTube. That's how I was basically teaching myself how to trade, and I was trading $10 accounts because, frankly, I didn't have much money to trade with in the first place. But I wanted to get my feet in there and see how this works. So I was trading $10 accounts, and then I was doing okay in the beginning, and then after a while you just start losing account after account after account endlessly, and I couldn't really figure out why. So I just kept at it though. Like I'm the type of person where even if I'm losing the account, I'll just keep pushing until I get it eventually.
And was that when we first met? You were losing account after account, or I can't remember fully.
Yeah, I was. Well, when I spoke to you at that point, I was I think I was like 6 or 7 months in, and then that's when I was starting. That's when I was like initially starting to kind of break even, right? Like I wasn't losing so much at that point. But before that though, I was just losing account after account, and then I messaged you about my whole situation, and I think it was like asking for tips or something like that, like what certain help or whatever, and then I asked about Andre as well, your mentor, and you invited me to your show.
Yeah, cool, and that's where we left off, and so. From there, I mean, I'm looking through your notes. You'd had some. You stumbled across Navin Prithiani's stuff on YouTube, and you'd learned a bit from that. And then you were diving into Andre pretty much at the end of the last time we spoke, which was at the show. I've sort of seen. I'd seen a couple of your posts in his forums and his chat rooms and stuff, and I haven't really been following along too detailed to find out what exactly has been going on. So. I'm eager, as probably most of you guys out there listening, to find out maybe step us through the last 5 months of what you've been doing and how things have progressed.
Mm. Well, basically Andre's been with me into shape. he's been teaching me the way he trades and everything, and I've started to. I was still losing, right? Like I was at a certain point. Even though he was teaching me certain things, I was seeing what he was telling me, but I was still losing, and I couldn't figure out why. And even when he would explain to me, like I would sort of get what he was saying, but like there was something like I couldn't, like I didn't know I was missing until probably like this month. Like it started clicking a little more. And I was blowing accounts still, but I was blowing a lot less accounts than before my last meeting with you and meeting Andre. I'm like, now I'm kind of like, I'm doing a little bit better now.
So when you say blowing accounts, I mean, what is it? Was it still the $10 accounts that you were trading, and were you blowing those? And how far were you making them? I suppose how far were you taking them before the account blew?
Well, it was still $10 accounts. Sometimes I would put like $20 accounts, and sometimes I would double them sometimes, like in a week, and triple them and quadruple them sometimes, and then I would do. I guess I would get the direction wrong, and then I would hold the trade though, right? And I would hold the trade, and then I would put another. And after that trade was stopped out, I would put another trade because I thought I had the direction right? And so I keep doing the same, like, endless mistake. and then that's how I was basically blowing accounts.
And you still had a tight stop, right? So from what I can see on the first interview, you got a couple of trade examples up there. Well, actually, in actual fact, it was one trade example where we can see your actual, entry and take profit. And I mean, the risk to reward's phenomenal, especially on a $10 account. I mean, only trading 0.01 lots, but the risk to reward was, like, just from my eyesight, 1 to 20 or something, or 1 to 15 or something, somewhere around there, very high. So when you were adding these additional positions, were you literally just sort of eating away at the profit by having these tight stops, and they just kept getting hit? Is that right?
Yeah. Like that's like I would add another position, but I wouldn't see that it was like it was in the wrong direction, or it was a big pullback. And then so I would keep adding them in, and they would just keep stopping me out. And by the time I'm done, my main trade, it would like go, let's say my main trade would go like, let's say 80 pips up, right? And then by the time I'm done, it's already come back so far into my main trade where it's like I'm barely making anything, or I actually lost the main trade. So
right.
Yeah. And imagine that, like, sitting there for like 8 hours just watching that. So yeah.
And so, I mean, were you at the end of, say, the trading week, going back and going through your trades for the week and just having a look and seeing what the themes that were coming out?
Yeah, I was getting, like, frequently I was getting with Andre, like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Can we go through this again? And even even me just by myself, I would like look at my trades, like, and I'll try to reanalyze and see what exactly I did wrong. And it's mainly just the direction, right? I thought I had direction right for so long until like just recently, where I'm like, oh, I was getting direction wrong the whole time. So.
And direction, yeah. And do you want to explain sort of direction to the audience? I mean, what does that entail for you?
Well, so direction is like, for example, when you're doing your pre-analysis for like the week, like, so let's say today, Sunday, I'm doing my analysis for the rest of the week, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, okay, where's the direction going? Where's the general monthly direction, right? And then where's the weekly direction? And then according to what the weekly direction is telling me, then I'll start looking down into the dailies and the hourlies for my entries, right? And so before, I thought like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the whole top down analysis thing. It never like clicked on me. Like, it never clicked to me to actually like, okay, go all the way out as far as possible to the monthly and then come down like to the hourly. And so I was taking trades that were short-term trades, and I was treating them as long-term trades, right? Because the direction was actually going the opposite direction. And that was my confusion. I was taking long-term trades as short-term trades and short-term trades as long-term trades.
And why do you think that was, that you couldn't go out to the higher time frames, or you weren't going out to the higher time frames? Was it purely that you didn't know to do that? Because, I mean, the multi-time frame analysis stuff has been banded around. I don't know how many times I've heard it in my trading career, but it's been banded around heaps. I mean, or was it something more psychological? And I asked that question because I was definitely on the psychological front, where it was just one of those things where it's like, it was almost laziness to a certain degree, or just not prioritizing it, thinking that look, it doesn't really matter. I mean, what was your view on why it took you so long to get there?
I think reflecting on it now is like I've always heard of it. Like you hear the term all the time, top down analysis, right? And it's thrown around everywhere in the trading community, but I didn't exactly know like how to do it. I would see people do it, but it didn't make sense to me. And I always thought, like, I guess it was psychological, like you said. Like, I always thought that if I'm trading the 1 hour and the 15-minute or 30-minute, whatever, right? If I'm trading the lower time frames, why would I need to go to the monthly? It doesn't make sense. So, and I thought I was able to determine direction even in the hourly, not understanding that the dailies really what determines the hourly, and the weeklies what determines the daily direction, right? And so it was mostly psychological. I didn't understand that, and when I did like start to understand it, I still didn't really really get it until like a week ago or like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I know the feeling and I know the pain, and I know it because I've been there for years and years and years, and not wanting to even, you know, or maybe just dipping your toe in the water and doing, I'll do one time frame above, and you know, say tick the box of, I've done the multi time frame analysis, now I can go and place my trade. Where it's so much more than that, and I think trying to really having a good idea as to what you need to be doing when you're doing that multi-time frame analysis that's probably the first thing to work out. Then it's going to be easier to actually do it and think, okay, well, what I'm doing is actually going to work more often than not. So okay, so that was a big thing, big sort of stepping stone for you. And what's happened since you've been doing that?
Since I've started to do that, like the direction right, it's been good, man. I've the last 2 weeks, well, let's say the last 2 days from last week, I actually got some trades where I actually made back my losses for the previous week, and then I made back like half my losses for. Yeah, I'm almost done with my losses for the month. Basically, I'm almost caught up because of getting the direction right. Basically, right, and so. Yeah, that and then to like I'm starting to see more clearly. I'm starting to able like to predict. Okay, this is where it's bouncing from. Let's just watch that level, and then keep going from there. Like previously, I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah, and I'm just jumped into the Discord chat to have a look at some of your trades, and I can see you've got a good grasp of the analysis in terms of what you're doing as well, which is fantastic. I mean, do you want to talk us through in terms of what else has changed from the original approach that you took? So it was very much like a tight as stop loss and quite a large profit target. Has anything changed from there, or are you still pretty much doing the same thing, but you just added in this multi-time frame analysis and you're not sort of jumping in trades that are going against the wrong direction?
Right. Yeah. No, it's pretty much the same. I still keep 12 pip stop, and I still keep my target wherever my analysis is telling me the target is. Right. Yeah. That's basically it. I won't change that because I've noticed like if I stretch out my stop loss, it's probably because I answered wrong in the first place, right? Or I answered early, or I answered too late, or whatever. And so like putting my stop loss, making my stop loss larger, it basically like it's like a fear thing. Like, okay, I'm scared of this trade not working, so I'm like, let me just leave it alone. If it doesn't work, I know I'm wrong, so I'll just enter somewhere else after I do analysis when I'm stopped out, right?
Yeah. And look, I mean, I'm just looking at what this GJ trade you did the other day. It was fantastic. What day was that? Oh, was that non-farm payroll at the start of the month?
Yeah, that was Thursday and Friday. I caught like 80% of non-NFP.
Yeah, and with a stop loss which looked
of 12 pips.
Of 12 pip stop loss. That was ridiculous. Yeah. And you literally took it to your profit target in what's this, hourly, 3-4 hours. 4 hours it was hit your profit target of. If that's 12 pips, your profit target must be 120 or something.
Yeah. That I think that day, because I had, but on Thursday I had two short trades on that, which that equaled to something like 90 pips or something like that, and then I think it was like 100 something pips, and then the next day was Friday that equaled to like whatever, like 120 or whatever it was.
Wow. So looking at this, I mean, because I can see your lot sizes here as well. So you've said that this has made back your losses in terms of, yeah. So let me get this straight, so for the audience as well. So was that obviously wasn't on a $10 account at that point, or you're talking about all the $10 added together? You've now made all that back. What are you talking about here? Oh
no, this one, like I actually this time I upped it a little bit. I threw in $200 into that account. So I'm working with that now. But I actually grew, like I grew, and with those three trades, I think it was a couple more, like one or two more small ones. I actually made like 33% increase on that account. So I'm like at like 300, something like that.
Nice. So, okay, right, I'm with you. Okay, because I was sort of trying to work it out in my head. Now, I do remember I had a guy on called VP on the show, and he was, I don't know if he said it on the show or he said it after the show, but I think it was before the show. We had a chat, and he's like, because he was on after you, and he's like, oh man, if I could have a word with the guy doing the $10 accounts. I'd tell him not to do $10 accounts. Or yes, he didn't say what he didn't say what he was going to do. But I think he had a show about it. I think he actually did a show on his podcast about trading with really, really small accounts. And so I think the recommendation is probably, maybe $10 is great for practicing. But if you had to go back there, would you do anything differently? Do you think it's a viable solution?
No, I think it's fine if you know what you're doing, right? So for example, before I threw in this $200 account, like just so I can clear it up, the week before that, right? I think it was like the week before last week, I was actually trading a $10 account, and it was $10 account, and I had a direction right for the whole week, and that was when I first started. Like I first got direction, I understood it, and so I took that $10 account, and I had like 9 trades running on a $10 account, all at 0.01, and that's according to standard teaching, that's like over leverage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was because I was, so for example, I'll add one trade, right? My trade will go in my direction, and at that point I have equity. So I would use that equity and add another position once it reaches another level, and I'll short it again, right? And so I got to a point where I was also trading, I think it was 3 pairs, and so I just kept stacking positions, and I actually got that $10 account to something like $60 that 1 week. So that's like, what is that? That's like 600%.
Yeah.
And the only reason I blew that account was because I did, it was completely my mistake. I didn't understand. I was still learning direction fully, right? And I missed one part where, even though the monthly direction was up, I think it was, or down, or the weekly direction was down, but the monthly direction was up, right? And so I figured, in my mistake, I thought I held those trades into the new week. And I didn't understand that the new week is basically just going to go the opposite direction, because now the market is looking for a better price to go up. So what happened was, after that $10 account was at $60, basically the whole week it went against all my trades, and I blew my account because I didn't close it.
Oh, because I was still running. Yeah. And so what, your stops were just sort of, I suppose you
had to get a hit.
Yeah. So
left and right.
So the trades you were adding, you were scaling in, where'd you put the stops for those, or did you not have stops for them?
I was like the same 12, like the main trades were like 12 pip stops. Some of the other ones, I actually I took the stop out, because I saw it retracing, and it was retracing a little too much. And I noticed that my trades were actually a little bit early, some of them. So I took the stops out, but then as soon as the price went back in my direction, I'll put the stops back in, and I just left it alone for the rest of the week. And then they kept going, but it was that transition from when I left them on the weekend to the new week where it just it messed me all up.
Yeah, it's I've got to say, one of the most annoying things I've found is getting a sort of, getting a significant amount of profit in your account, but albeit floating there, not your profits. It's just where the market is at. And you stop, even if you move a stop into profit, and it coming back to then take your stop out, even though that's part of your system, it's still annoying. It is still really annoying, because you're like, what if that's just that psychological thing, isn't it? It's like, what if I'd stopped it there and got out? Well, how could I stop it? How could I get out? Well, in actual fact, that's a different system if you're going to stop it like that. So, yeah, okay. So, I'm just scrolling up and looking through your trades here, and you've got some phenomenal entries, unbelievable sniper entries going on. And it's not just on, what pairs are you trading? Because it's not just one pair, it's a number of different pairs. Have you got a list that you go through?
I just, sometimes it's random, but my main pairs I trade, my main pair, my top, number one is GJ. GPJPY. I trade Euro USD sometimes. I think the other one is New Zealand JPY, and what's the other one? Let me scroll through here. Yeah, and the other one is USD JPY. I'll trade that once in a while. Yeah, but it varies. Like it varies. Like if I'm going through and I see something, I'll just throw it in. But for the most part, it's just GJ for the most part.
And so okay, right. So you let's sort of break down your process, because I think that's quite important. Is establishing some sort of habit or ritual that you will, stick to, so that this doesn't become just gambling, basically. I mean, have you got I'll talk the guys through what you're doing in terms of your setup, time of day, how that applies to your lifestyle and what you're doing with your life, that sort of thing.
It's simple, to be honest. Like I get on, I do my quick analysis on the direction.
And what time of day would you get on though, or what time of week?
Anytime, any day. Like, I don't pay attention to the sessions. I don't pay attention to like time of day, because here's the reason why, right? Because I've noticed, just like from just looking at the charts like so long, I've noticed where sometimes, like let's say for example, like we're told to trade, let's say like Euro USD, right? You're set to trade that during London session in New York, right? Because it's a USD pair, whatever, and a Euro pair, right? So, but I've noticed that sometimes if the price is actually close to where they want to deal, like the market movers want to deal, it'll actually trigger the move even before London session, right? And sometimes it'll trigger the move like a couple hours after London session. So it really doesn't depend on what the session is. Like to my understanding, like just from watching it, I think it's just like all they care about is, okay, where's the best price? Can we get the best price? And once we get the best price, let's keep moving the price, right? They don't really care about the sessions. The only thing that I understand, that I see where the sessions work, is that the sessions are just basically the times of day where the market is moving the most, right? But it's not really where the entries start. It's just where the market moves the most.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, look, and I've noticed that as well. I mean, in terms of the JPY pairs, which you seem to be trading a lot of, I mean, they, you can easily, well, obviously the Japanese are awake at a different time of day anyway, so you're going to get movements either in Europe or in Asia, or I suppose the same goes with actually. You even do get some decent movement across the AUD JPY pair in the European and London sessions. So, I mean, it doesn't, and they're so liquid, it doesn't really matter to a certain degree.
Exactly. That's why I like GJ so much, because GJ moves all the time. Like, I rarely ever see GJ going through a consolidation, right? It's always moving. No matter what time of day, no matter what session, it's pretty much always moving.
And what about correlation? I mean, do you look across the pairs and go, well, if I'm going to be trading GBP and Euro JPY, are you going to be wanting to take those in the same direction, or you just completely ignore it? How do you look at that?
I for the most part, I don't pay attention to correlation. But I notice it, like it happens. But well, actually, no, I do pay attention to correlation sometimes, because I do notice that some of the pairs move in the same direction, especially like the JPY pairs. And then sometimes, like when I do really use the correlation is when, like, say for example, I'm taking a GJ trade, and usually GJ is moving the same direction as I think is Euro JPY or Euro USD. And so sometimes I'll do my analysis, and for some reason, I guess I missed something in my analysis, and I'll see that I'm looking for a short. Let's say I'm looking for a short on Euro USD, but I'm looking for I have a long trade going on GJ, right? And like in my head, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. They usually move the same direction. So I'll actually look up the correlation, like at that point, and see if they're actually correlating at the moment. And then I'll actually do my analysis again before I put another entry in, because I'm like, wait, that's kind of iffy. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I get most of my direction just from like the analysis. Like I can tell they're moving the same direction just from the analysis.
And what are you using to look up the correlation?
I just Google currency correlation. I think there's like one from Oanda where it's like a currency heat map.
Okay.
Where it says correlating.
Okay, cool. And just stepping back into, because we got sidetracked there a little bit, back into your daily trading routine. So, any time of day, and I mean, I'm trying to. What do you do? Are you still doing the window washing, or are you doing?
No, I'm right now. I'm actually unemployed. I'm more like full time, just like studying this stuff and like trying to get it working.
Right.
So, yeah.
And have you got like a window of opportunity in terms of, I mean, when the money's going to run out, or are you all sorted there?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You don't have to answer that. It's a bit personal, but
yeah. But no, I like right now. I'm feeling better because I understand. I'm starting to really understand direction now, which is like was the key. I think when I started, like, because the trades I'm taking now, compared to the trades we're taking back then, like back then, I think the dangerous part was, like, for example, I'll take a trade and it'll go 100 and something pips, right? And I think I'm in the right direction, but then I find out it's actually just a pullback for the opposite direction, right? And then having it's a psychological thing. Seeing those trades work for you, you think you got it good, right? You think you got the trade right, but you actually got it wrong, and so you keep taking trades and keep messing up, and you're just wondering what is going wrong. But like finally now seeing direction, I now understand exactly why those trades went wrong, because I was just confusing direction completely.
Yeah.
So now I'm like a little more secure in the trades.
Okay, and look, I mean, I suppose if you're growing your $200 account by 33%, it's a bit of extra income in the pocket. That said, you're not probably taking that out of the account just yet. I mean, I'm
leaving it there.
have you got a? I'm going to ask this question before we go back to your routine, which we'll get to. Have you got a specific goal in mind in terms of like a? I mean, one of the things I had was like a withdrawal goal. So get to this level and withdraw X number of dollars. Have you got anything like that in mind, or
a target? I haven't really thought of how much I want to when I want to take out. I know my target, for me to withdraw, like my first target, I want to be on it to be like maybe 6,000, 10,000. Then I'll withdraw something, but I really want to just keep it in there for the most part, because I'm fine. Like, I'm not like desperate for money or whatever right now, but yeah.
Okay, cool. And okay, back to that routine. So you're picking a time of day. You've obviously got ample time at the moment to jump into the market. So walk us through what happens from there.
Yeah. So I just analyze it. And then basically I'm just waiting for the most part. I'm sitting on my hands, watching the trade move. And then as soon as, and actually what I do is I put sell limits, right? Like I usually take a lot of market orders. Sometimes I'll take market orders like after I have my main trades in, because when I'm watching pullbacks and stuff, I'll put a market order in, or I put for the most part though, it's like limit orders, because I notice like when I want to put a market order in, usually I'll get it in a couple pips late or a couple pips early, and it's because like I'm sitting there trying to grab the entry before it moves. Because like the entries I'm getting, like what's happening is it's like price will move towards it, and sometimes price would actually just like do a quick spike, hit the point, and then just move the other way. And then by then I'm like, oh, I missed the entry, and I'm gonna have to come in at a pullback, right? And I don't really want to miss the entries. So I'll just put like limit orders, and then I'm just basically just watching my trades at that point. It's not really, it's like real simple.
And so how long have you had to wait for one particular trade? Like, what's the longest you've had to wait?
Like 2 days, right? Like the GJ trades we talked about earlier. Those the first two entries. Those didn't finish until I entered on Thursday, like during I think it was like during the morning hours during the morning hours, and they didn't actually hit my profit target until I think it was like maybe like 7 o'clock in the morning Friday or something like that, and then that was when NFP was starting to move, and then after it hit my target, I actually had a sell limit order right below my target, because I was anticipating it for the move back up, and I was hoping NFP was going to do the work, and that's exactly what it did. So the NFP was quick, but the two previous trades took me like a day and a half almost waiting.
Wow. And so that's literally sitting there watching the market going, here we go. Look, this is fantastic stuff. Look, I think, out of anyone that I've interviewed, this is probably the quickest I've seen anyone advance to a point where they've been able to. I sort of knew it. I sort of knew it from seeing what you were doing initially, where you had such a low drawdown. And even though it was only $10 accounts, the fact that you're able to double, triple the $10 account, I do remember you mentioning one getting to $60, and then wiping it, but you're still getting to $60, which is pretty impressive from a $10 account. And it is way over leveraged, but it is doable, and it does show that you've got promise there. And looking at some of these trades here that you've posted in, literally, what's this? The last Thursday. From there on in, last Friday, there's a number of different trades, and you're taking both buys and sells on GJ in particular. Was it NU, New Zealand US dollar, buy limits, sell limits going on there. So you're looking at stuff from the both levels. So you've really got a good grasp of what's going on, which is fantastic. I'm
taking trades both directions.
yeah, exactly. Right. So it's that's fantastic. Now, what's the what are the actually? So last question before we get into the what's going on in the future. What about from a psychological point of view? What do you think? Have there been any sort of momentous aha moments for you?
Yeah, it was just like I said, last week when I was on a Zoom call with Andre, and he was explaining to me direction, and I understood it. I'm like, wait, okay, that's it. I can see, okay, the price spiked up some kind of high, right? And it dropped back down for the month. And so if it touched the high, right, the monthly high or whatever, and it's coming back down, it's probably looking for some kind of low price point so they can buy back up, right? Because sell high, buy low, right? Yeah. And so when I understood it, I'm like, okay, that's it, right? If the monthly is going down, the weekly is doing something else. But you just have to go from high to low, top-down analysis. And once I grasped that, I was like, okay, now the moves are making more sense to me, right?
And what about what about from a psychological point of view? What I've noticed is that you're not sort of jumping between strategies and doing the revenge trading. You're able to sit there, you're patient. So you've got a lot of these traits all locked away. Was there any last one thing that, from a psychological point of view or trading psychology point of view, that you felt you had to overcome, or was it literally just getting this understanding of around the how the multi time frame analysis worked?
Well, yeah, it was the direction, but it was, like you said, it was also one of the things I had to get over was I think I was going through a bit of information overload, because I was jumping between strategies. I was given the strategy, right? Andre was teaching me, obviously, but I was also jumping in between other things and putting my own input in certain things and not letting it the thing is simple, right? Let this strategy work as the strategy is going to work. Don't just keep adding and overcomplicating. And that was one of my issues. I was overcomplicating, or for example, I would miss a trade, and then instead of just waiting, right? Because I usually take my entries now on the hourly. Instead of just waiting, sometimes I would find myself trying to dig deeper into lower time frames. I would jump down to the 15-minute to 5 minutes to find some kind of justification for me to jump in, and I would screw it up, right? Because I'm not waiting. I'm sitting there trying to do something else at the strategy that's not even in the strategy. And that was screwing me up. So I had to get over that. Just stop. I had to stop overcomplicating and stop adding other things. Just work with the simple strategy and just leave it alone.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that I've had to realize myself as well. And in actual fact, I don't know when will this go out. It might go out after the week that the next episode that I'm talking about is going to go out, which is where I actually sat down with a trading psychology guru who basically does I suppose NLP techniques on you to help you overcome things. And one of the things I suppose it wasn't necessarily related, but that was one of my issues, was knowing that, look, if I just execute the damn strategy, it's gonna play out. But there was issues with, why couldn't I execute it? What was wrong with me? Why couldn't I do it? And we sort of got to the bottom of that and worked through some things. So yeah, I think it sounds like you're on your road. So what are your plans for? How do you see the next few months panning out? And I think we'll get you back here in maybe 5 months' time again.
I can well, I might be sounding a little overconfident, but I think I'm good now. Like, I think I'm gonna start actually growing my account. And I think within a month, right, by the end of the month, I'm probably gonna make back all my losses since I started trading. Because I didn't lose much since I was trading, because I was trading the $10 accounts, and because I was trading the smallest lot size possible from the start, right? I was maintaining that, and so that actually helped me to keep my losses like small. So at this point, I'm probably going to make back all my losses from the last 7 months I've been trading, and then be done with it. Like, I'm in profit at that point. Probably by the end of the month or June, I would say I'm doing good.
Okay. I'm just trying to think here. I'm thinking that I want to take some pressure off you, and because I know that this show, like being on the show, sort of like it's not normal. It's sort of, I suppose, I don't want you to feel pressure that you know of the show. I mean, what would be because what I'm thinking. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and I'll let you decide. I'm thinking that we say this is the last show that we get you on, and so from here on in, you're free. You're not coming back on the TradingNut podcast. It's fully up to you if you want to come back or not. You can never come back, and if I ask you, you've got all rights to say no, you're not coming back. And that can be because you made it, because you're struggling. It can be either or. I just want to give you that freedom so that you know that this, in all accounts, is it. Unless, for whatever reason, you go, yep, Cam, I want to come back on. So I'm going to leave it to you to make that decision. So there's no pressure of being on the show. It's up to you. You're now a free man. How does that sound?
Right. That sounds good. I mean, I'd say like once when I actually make it, like, 'cause right now I'm just starting to make it. But like when I finally do, I'm fine to come back on, like, to just, let people know I actually did make it. I'm not just like saying I'm about to make it. You know what I mean? Because some people, like, I'm sure there are people out there that still have their doubts, and they're like, oh yeah, you have a guy who made it. He was been struggling here and there, but you never actually gave the conclusion if he made it or not. He said he would make it, but he never. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'd be fine clarifying that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just know that when I spoke to who did I speak to? I think it was some guys on the very first time I did this back in 52 Traders. I think there was, when I spoke to some guys, there was a bit of pressure around, like, feeling that they're coming back on the show, they've got to show improvement, blah, blah, all this sort of stuff. And that doesn't give us a natural experience. So this is why I wanted to open it up and say, look, mate, if it's up to you whether or not you want to come back on. I'll be asking you either way, but it's up to you if you think that's good. Because some people thrive on it and some people don't, and I don't know if you do or not. So it's up to you whether or not you want to.
With or without the show, I have pressure on my back anyways, because I still need to make this work. Right, I'm unemployed at the moment, so it doesn't really matter either way. I still have pressure on my back, but I'm fine. I can deal with it. So yeah, it's whatever.
Cool. Brilliant. Well, look, thanks very much for coming back on here, Eli. It's been a pleasure hearing your story, and 5 months on, and I'm so glad to hear that things have worked out, and you're making profit, which is amazing. So, any last words that you want to say before we wrap up here?
Not really. Just, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me on the show. I appreciate it and appreciate all the support, because I've also had people like reach out to me because of the show, and and just like kind of like ask for help, or like they find me like encouraging that I was actually doing this and that you actually put me in the show. So thank you for that, and I appreciate all the support from everyone.
Cool, brilliant. Well, look, have a great rest of the day over there, and we'll chat to you again, hopefully, fingers crossed, in a few months' time, but no pressure.
Definitely. I appreciate you. Thank you. Take care, Cam.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that interview with Eli. So we will catch up with him again in a few months' time to see if he can continue this good run of form. So, or maybe we won't. I think I gave him the option at the end of the show, so let's see what happens. But in the meantime, if you want to find out a bit more about what he's doing and have a look at his charts, then head over to the YouTube channel, or there's going to be a link in the show notes. Head over to TradingNut, find him. It's episode 35 in the interviews navigation at the top, and you can find that video there along with all the show notes as well. So right, folks, what else? Yes, Robot Traders Club, if you want to give that a try, the new format is up and running, and I will be sending an email out soon to all those gold members and Robot Traders Club members to let them know the video to watch so that they can get the full details about the changes. And then also, if you want to build your own trading robots, then there's the Robot Builders Club coming up so very soon. I'm almost ready to relaunch it. It's only a matter of days away, surely. It's days away. I'll let you know when all this happens. Now, last but not least, some fantastic episodes coming up on this show. We have got a Forex trader, a futures trader, and an options trader. So, guys, coming up on the TradingNut podcast. If I don't catch you on the airwaves soon, maybe I'll catch you on the social media or on the email. All right, see you then. Bye.